We will do it from here. Can everyone see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. My name is Kendall Cook. I am actually the Grants Management Manager for the Maryland Higher Education Commission. We are located in downtown Baltimore. And at the Maryland Higher Education Commission, we have an office called the Office of Student Financial Assistance. So they're better known as OSFA, and they are responsible for administering over $120 million of state financial aid, which is why we're here today. So a couple of things that we'll discuss. We'll talk about what is financial aid. We'll talk about sources and types of financial aid, how to apply, and then I'll show you where to find our state grants and scholarships, and we'll briefly go over the application process. So it'll be a mouthful today, but just stand with me. We'll guide you all the way through the end, and hopefully by the end of today's presentation, everyone feels confident with knowing how to navigate our resources online. All right, so simply put, financial aid is money to help pay for college or career school. There can be different types and sources of aid. So it could be federal aid. You may have heard of federal Pell Grant. So that's a source of federal aid. State aid is what we'll talk about today, such as state grants and scholarships. So not every state, but the great state that we live in Maryland, we hold a pot of money just for students like you to go to school. Institutional aid will be the college or career school of choice. They have funds that they put aside that can help you pay for your educational expenses. And other could be a check from your church, a scholarship from Chick-fil-A, anything other than federal, state, and institutional aid, we classify as other. So what's really important to note here, grants and scholarship is what we notate as gift aid, which is basically money that does not need to be paid exchange and hope for it to be paid back. So gift aid is basically free money to you. Loans, we highly educate students to borrow only what you need. So exhaust all state grants and scholarships, federal aid, any other scholarships, really any free money that you can get or gift aid. We highly advise that you use that first to make your financial aid package. And anything that you have left over that you really need to pay for, we advise just borrow wisely. There's also work study employment too. So sometimes this is part of a financial aid package. It could be federal aid, and they may say that you're eligible for work study, which means that they will give you a job on campus and work around your class schedule. And you can get paid to work. So it's another form of earning money while you go to school. All right, so the FAFSA, hopefully we've heard of this by now. So FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And pretty much this is the form that determines what you might be eligible for. So just a moment of clarity, this is not the form that tells you what you're gonna get. Okay, you have to submit this form to get the process started. This opens October 1st of every year, and you must complete it every year that you plan on receiving any type of federal or state aid. So you would want to do it as early as October 1st each year. What do they look for in the FAFSA? So in the FAFSA form, they're looking for this term called EFC, which stands for Expected Family Contribution. So long story short, it's a long formula to determine how much your family can devote to your educational expenses. So simply put, if your EFC is 0, on paper, that means that your family has $0 to devote to your educational expenses. Therefore, you would be eligible for the maximum Pell Grant and likely our top dollar need-based scholarships. So it means that you need money to go to college. On the other end of the spectrum, if your EFC is 100, you're not really need-based, but that doesn't count you out for all grants and scholarships in the state. So we have career occupational scholarships, we have some merit-based scholarships. But the EFC is specifically looking at need, okay? In this presentation, I'll send it back, and your counselors can send it back to you. But if you want to get some more information, like quick tips, and just more detailed information, which we're describing today, but I put links in here just for your own leisure to look at. Keep going here. This is a screenshot of what the FAFSA website looks like. So the website is studentaid.gov. And rising seniors, you should complete the 2023-2024 FAFSA. And parents, if there's any parents here listening, we do prior year documentation, which means that they verify, household income, expected family contribution based off your tax documents 2 years ago.
I have a question.
Okay. Do you mind holding to the end? And we can.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Please put it in the chat, please.
Thank you. So 2021 tax documentation. So parents, that's the tax documents that we would want to submit. More information here, just another link and resource. All right. There are unique cases to where everyone isn't eligible for federal aid. So Maryland has created a sister application called the MSFA, and this stands for Maryland State Financial Aid Application. So pretty much if you are undocumented student or you are not an eligible citizen, typically you will not be eligible for federal aid. But we live in a great state of Maryland. We have this application called the MSFA, and it's pretty much, it's our version of the FAFSA. So it's just gonna ask that you be a Maryland resident. You will have graduated or will be graduating from an in-state school or equivalent or get a GED, and have filed state income taxes with the last 3 years. So quick clarity moment, you do one or the other. Sometimes you might do two if you really don't know what category you fall in, but there's no need to do two, okay? So if you know that you're US citizen, you've lived here all your life, you have a social security number, your parents have all of that in place, go ahead and complete the FAFSA. There's no need to do the MSFA at that point. However, if you're an undocumented student, you're still working on citizenship, parents are still trying to figure that piece of it out, do the MSFA application. You want to do Maryland's application because you're still going to be eligible for state grant and scholarships. So pretty much what I'm saying is that if you live in the state of Maryland as Maryland residents and have at least 3 years of state income tax returns, you're going to be eligible for the same dollars that everyone else is in this room, the state dollars, okay? We'll keep trucking along. I know that might be a hard determination. I would advise just getting with your high school counselor if you're not sure what category you fall in. And I'll also show you where to reach us if you have questions regarding that. But pretty much the MSFA is going to make you eligible for all state grants and scholarships that we'll talk about in a couple slides back. Let's talk about MDCAPS. So the MDCAPS is the portal to where all our state grants and scholarships live. So much like applying for a job, you have to go to Cold Stone's or Chipotle's website and do a job application online. It might have you create like a username and a password. Same thing here. It's called MDCAPS. So it's going to ask you to create a username and password, and it has to be associated with an email account. We just ask that you use a quick, easy, professional email. Please don't use one that has like a lot of characters and threes and @ signs and all of that, because we might miss it and then you might miss out on some dollars. So just use a professional email, kindle.cook, anything like that will work. And this is the application where all state grants and scholarships live. Quick note, this is also where the MISFA lives. So if you are knowing that you're going to submit that MISFA form, you actually have to do the MDCAPS account first. And then when you get an MDCAPS, the very first link at the top, once you get inside there, will be the application to complete the MISFA, which is the Maryland State Financial Aid application. The MISFA stays open all year long, so it's not an open or closed date, but you kind of do this at the same time that you do your FAFSA, okay? So if you're doing your FAFSA, which opens October 1st each year, go ahead and complete your FAFSA, then go ahead and start registering your MDCAPS account. So go ahead and get that account set up. That way the two systems start talking with one another and you're more than halfway throughout the process. I put some more information on the MDCAPS and how to get that set up in here. All right, what we're all here for are state grants and scholarships. So our top dollar scholarship is up to $20,000 a year. This is the Guaranteed Access Grant. This is a need-based grant also. So a little earlier, we talked about need and how that relates to EFC, expected family contribution. So if your EFC is 0, which means that on paper, your family has $0 to dedicate to your educational expenses, more than likely you're going to be given the Guaranteed Access Grant or the Educational Assistance Grant. So one of the two categories you're automatically going to fall in. I say automatically so long as you apply by March 31st. And actually, there's not even really an application for it. All you need to do is set up your MDCAPS account and create a FAFSA or submit a FAFSA or MISFA, and everyone in this room is going to automatically be considered for the Guaranteed Access Grant or Educational Assistance Grant. It's like one of the first check boxes that happen in MDCAPS account. They ask you about 5 or 6 questions, and that pretty much determines if you're going to be eligible for that. Counselors in the room, this is also the first grant by law that we have to award. So when that awarding process comes and we get a lot of emails around this time, pretty much May, June, July, about we haven't received information about an award, or we haven't been awarded yet and we're still waiting to hear back. It's likely because we're still sorting through awards for the Guaranteed Access Grant and Educational Assistance Grant, as by law, we have to award those first. All right, so just a quick recap: Guaranteed Access and Educational Assistance Grant. These are two need-based grants. You have to apply by March 31st to be considered, okay? After March 31st, you will not be considered for these two grants. You can still apply for other grants that we have listed on here, and you can still submit your FAFSA after March 1st. But again, it opens October 1st every year, so you have a couple months to get everything in, so don't wait till the last minute. These are some of our other scholarships that we have here. I'll peruse through them really quick. One of my favorite is the Maryland Community College Promise Scholarship. This is a last dollar award. So it means that it is applied after other grants and scholarships have been applied. So let's use an example. Say you're looking at the Community College of Baltimore County. Say the tuition is $6,000. Say you get $2,000 federal Pell Grant. So that's that federal aid. Say you get $2,000 Educational Assistance Grant. That's a state grant. Say you get $1,000 from Chick-fil-A. That's another type of scholarship or private scholarship. So you have $1,000 balance left on your student account at CCBC. You can apply for the Maryland Community College Promise Scholarship, and it's going to wipe out that $1,000, and you're not going to have a balance on your account at all. Only stipulation is you have to file the FAFSA or MISFA as early as October 1st, no later than March 1st. Go ahead and get that MDCAPS account created. And then they may ask you for transcripts, whatever the required documentation is, that has to be submitted by July 15th. Okay, so when I show you the website, I'll show you, we have a link to every grant and scholarship that we have, and it will detail what exactly they want and the deadlines that they need to be submitted by. We're almost done, so bear with me here. Again, here's the guaranteed access grant up to $20,000. We say up to because it's not going to exceed the cost of attendance. So if you're looking at Bowie State University, let's say their tuition for an in-state resident, I don't know, let's say it's $10,000 a year. And you have an EFC of 0, which means that you need every dollar you can get to go to college. You'll probably be awarded up to $10,000. So, don't come looking for me saying, where's the other $10,000? I thought I was fully awarded. Remember, that's only up to your cost of attendance. Whereas you might be looking at University of Maryland College Park and their tuition is higher. So you might get that full $20,000 there. So it all depends on your institution and where you're looking at. What I want to emphasize here over the next few grants is that the application process is going to be pretty much standard. You're always going to submit your FAFSA as early as October 1st, no later than March 1st. Get that MDCAPS account created, and just make sure you're paying attention to those deadlines. Every application is going to have a specific deadline and required documentation that they need by a certain date. So just pay attention. Check your email. They'll always let you know what's needed. So just, be attentive. What happens if you don't submit the MISFA or get that MDCAPS account created by March 1st? Nothing really. The only thing is you're going to miss out on those 2 need-based grants that we talked about, which is guaranteed access and educational assistance. But you can still be eligible for other state grants and scholarships so long as the funds are still there. One example of it is the campus-based educational assistance grant. So you're like, wait, we just talked about educational assistance. They're pretty much the same, but the difference is one is awarded by the state and the campus-based is awarded by the institution. So this one, if you submit, that's actually wrong here. I'll update that. But if you submit after March 1st, you're still going to be considered for the campus-based educational assistance grant, as well as other career, occupational, merit scholarships, private scholarships. So still always get your FAFSA in. And I heard a really great point earlier. When you're applying for grants and scholarships too, if you don't submit your FAFSA, they probably will look at it like you probably don't need money to go to college. So they might consider someone else and it could have been you. So just always submit that application, even if you're unsure. We don't want to leave any dollars on the table. So we do have legislative scholarships in Maryland. You have to go to mdelect.net to figure out who your local senator or delegate is. And then you have to call the office. You're probably like, okay, it's 2023. Why are we still calling the office? Why can't they just put it online? It's because they want community engagement. They want to know who you are. They want to know you as a person. So they want you to call the office and they will tell you specifically what the requirements are and the application deadlines from there. So check that out. And last slide here. In Maryland, we do have tuition waivers for homeless youth, foster care recipients, and students with disabilities. This is pretty much determined at the institutional level. So once you've got that FAFSA submitted, you've got that MDCAPS account created and set up, the institution has received all of this information, they're going to determine what tuition waivers you are eligible for. But if you have any further questions on that, don't hesitate to get connected with us and we can kind of help navigate that process as well. Oops, I lied. One last slide here, private scholarships. So earlier we talked about that category of other. So there were 4 different categories of where aid can come from. 1 was federal, 2 was state, 3 was institutional, and 4 was other. So other, we consider private scholarships like this. So food and drink scholarships. I talked a lot about Chick-fil-A and Chipotle today. It's close to lunch. But they offer scholarships, so you can get it from anywhere. I know a lot of fast food organizations, if you work in the fast food industry part-time, they may have some opportunities available for you. Business and leadership scholarships. So there's many organizations out here that offer scholarships. As far as Future Business Leaders of America, literature and writing. Typically you see this by the department. So if you're looking at Frostburg and you're looking at their English department, check out their website because they may have, scholarships or grants available for first generation students who are from the Eastern Shore of Maryland. So you never know what they're looking for. I guarantee you there's more scholarships and applicants. So definitely if you see an opportunity that is the best fit for you, don't be afraid to put your hat in the basket, your name in the basket. So yeah, we'll do it from there. Really quick, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here, but I do want to share our website so you can find the information yourself if you ever if you're ever bored during the summer and you want to figure out where to find more information about state grants and scholarships. All right, let me share. All right, this is our website here. So if you scroll, it's mhec.maryland.gov. That's our website. It'll bring you right here. You scroll to the middle of our page and you'll see scholarships and grants to attend a college in Maryland. From there, you'll see everything you need to know here. So we talked about guaranteed access. We talked about educational assistance. These are the need-based grants. So they're all profiled here, 2+2 part-time grants. The legislative scholarship, we talked about senatorial delegate. And then there's also career occupational. So we have it for students interested in teaching, anyone interested in firefighter and ambulance, police scholarships. So we have different ones based off, but let me just click on guaranteed access here. Make sure you can still see this. Hopefully it's showing the right page here, but on guaranteed access, this is just like every page. It has everything that you need listed here. So it's going to tell you who's eligible, how do you apply, what to submit, important deadlines that you need to be aware of, required documentation down here. And then the forms that you need to correspond with what you need to submit will be listed at the bottom. All right, that's all that I have for you. I know it was a lot of information, but if you don't remember anything else from today's presentation, just know, well, let's do a pop quiz style. Just anyone blurt out, when does the FAFSA open?
October 1st.
Absolutely, October 1st.
Has Kendall, I do have a
Yes.
question because I know that the FAFSA is changing. Is it definitively still going to be October 1st, or is that it? Because there was some talk about it not being until December.
As far as we know on the state side, it's October 1st. It's still October 1st at the moment.
Okay, I have somebody from the Director of Commerce with their hand raised. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Just wanted to clarify and confirm, we do not need to do the state process if they're not doing a in-state school. All the resources that are in the speaker's resources on their website are just for Maryland schools.
Yes, this is just specific to Maryland institution. Are you referring to if a student is interested in an out-of-state institution?
I'm just thinking, I'm trying to streamline process and would want to just do the federal process and just do the FAFSA, and that it should be that therefore it's an umbrella into, Maryland would know all of our information also.
Yes, that's correct. So if you are eligible for federal aid, pretty much US citizen, you're going to do the FAFSA, and that's just going to take over the MSFA. So you'll do the FAFSA and it's going to put you, is already going to consider you for those state grants and scholarships. But if you are not eligible for federal aid, you would do the MSFA, which lives in the MDCAPS account.
And just to be clear, because you said citizen, if you have a green card, if you're a green card holder, permanent resident, you can also apply for FAFSA.
Yes.
Okay, Val Davis has a question. Go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, good morning. I put two questions in the chat. One was whether aid can be deferred if a student applies in the senior year but takes a gap year. And the second question is what is your expectation regarding whether affirmative action-based aid will still be available?
Okay, so for deferred, typically they're gonna make you do the application again, so the FAFSA. So if you are planning to take that gap year from, high school and you just want to take 1 year off, I would just wait to do the FAFSA in the year that you're entering, because then the FAFSA is not going to be current. So if you're looking to enter 2024, 2025, you would do the FAFSA next October. So you would just do it at that point. And I may have missed half the question regarding affirmative action. May you clarify?
Yes, let me just, on the first question, so there's no requirement that you be an enrolled student for this aid, because if you take a gap year and you wait to apply, it won't be an enrolled student.
Right. So if you're coming right out of high school, they're considering you, well, no one's enrolled at this point. So they don't even know.
At the time of application.
Right. So I think the simplest way to put it is that it's based off where you're planning to enroll in the term that you're entering. So if you are taking that year and you're looking to enter in fall of 2024, you just need to wait to do the 2024, 2025 FAFSA. Otherwise, the application is just going to sit there.
Okay. And the clarification is based on the Supreme Court decision, which largely struck down the use of affirmative action in consideration of race and ethnicity in higher education. What's your expectations around any race or ethnicity based aid, whether it's private or state, any of them?
Yes, I personally do not have an answer to that, and we have not received any guidance on the state side of how to advise that. So I do apologize, but I can get you connected to our Director of Communications to get more information.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Juliana, you have a question?
Hi, I'm Juliana. I'm like an incoming junior. So could I apply to any of these like scholarships you were talking about, like in my junior year, or does it all have to be when like I'm a senior?
So most of these are going to be for rising seniors. But what you can apply for is the part-time grant. And that's for students who are dual enrolled. So if you're taking college credits at like a community college, you could apply for the part-time grant. So that's one grant that you can apply for as a rising junior.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Margie?
Yeah, my question, you talk about the taxes that we have to use to fill out the FAFSA. If you and your child's father, we file separate taxes. So how does that work? Is it the person who takes that child off of their taxes, those are the taxes we use, or do I have to get the taxes from my ex-husband and do like a combined thing? Am I making any sense?
Yes, that does make sense. Really, it's a case-by-case basis. What I would recommend, I don't want to give any, because it does vary by household. What I would advise is getting connected with a financial aid advisor in our office. I can put the link in the chat for you, and they have virtual appointments every day. So they have virtual appointments from 9 to 1. I would just talk to them about your case and then get the best advice based off that.
Yeah, thank you, because I'm trying to get the answer and I haven't been able to. That'll be great if you could put that link in. Thank you so much.
You are welcome, and I just dropped it in the chat.
Okay.
Thank you. I have a question, because this came up in the chat. I've been trying to answer the questions, but if we have to use 2021 tax returns, that's prior years. So for kids going to school in the fall of 24, they're going to be using 2021 taxes. So what the question was, what if they lost their job in 2022? What do? They still have to, by law, they have to use their 2021 taxes, but how can they get more money if they've lost their job? What do you suggest?
Well, for the FAFSA purposes, I would suggest, once after you submit the FAFSA, they'll let you know that they received the application and they're processing. And then a couple days after that, they'll kind of let you know the status of that. But just like we have advisors here too, you can get connected with them and explain your case. There's always like an appeal process that you can do, and kind of explain your case and say, hey, this is what's going on, and they make adjustments from there. So I always say, like, these are standard forms. It doesn't really speak volume to what we live in our everyday lives and what the reality is. So just do what you can to submit the applications, as best as you can. And if there's any need to make any adjustments from there, I would always recommend doing a formal appeal process or get connected with a financial aid advisor that can further assist.
Okay, my understanding is that this year's FAFSA, if you have more than one student in college, that can help if you put that down on your FAFSA, but I know that that is going away for the next cycle. So is there no break for people that have maybe, 2, even 3 kids in college?
I would love to say that it would be considered, but I don't know what they do on the federal side. So the FAFSA is not in any way connected to Maryland. Now, for Maryland state application, we really do look at things on a case-by-case basis. So if you are, if you're submitting a MSFA on that end, or, you're just, I would say this, my best advice, because most people are going to submit the FAFSA, submit it as best as you can. Just be very detailed in the information that you're providing and make sure that it's accurate and see what that does. And if you're realizing that it's still not helpful, do an appeal or get connected with a financial aid advisor, because they can make adjustments to your application that we cannot.
Thank you. Can you take a minute and explain what the DREAM Act is and how those kids, I know they applied through MSFA, but can you just explain that a little bit, what it is?
Sure. Was there
It says, do they need to do MSFA and DREAM Act at the schools separately? Ms. Kessler, can you be more specific in that question?
Sorry, yeah, I'm just saying after you, I don't, if you're going to go into much about the MSFA, but if you apply for the MFSA, do you then also have to apply for the Maryland DREAM Act directly to the institution? Can you clarify that?
I actually don't know the answer to that, but I can certainly follow up and get that information. Actually the first time I've heard it, I'm not sure about the process or what order that happens in. So let me follow up with that question. And can you shoot me an email and I can just have it directly to you? I just put my email in the chat.
Okay. Ms. Kessler, you're going to do that?
Yeah, I see your email. And then the CCICs will send out that information to our students. How will the participants get the info?
Are you emailing him?
Yeah, I can email him.
Then send it to me and I can send it to the schools.
Okay. Got it.
I'm looking in the chat to see if we missed anything. Oh, Elena, you have a question?
Yep, I have 2 questions. Thank you. Question 1, just because this has come up a few times in the chat, and let's just be definitive here. If you apply to the FAFSA, you do not need to apply to the Maryland one, the MDCAPS.
Wrong.
Okay.
You need to apply to both. If you're planning to go to school in Maryland, you will need to apply to MDCAPS as well.
Okay, because that was not at all clear. Okay,
Okay, sorry.
thank
Jump
you.
in really quick.
Yes, please.
So I think the confusion may be with MDCAPS and MSFA. So MDCAPS is the system where it's the portal to where all state grants and scholarships live. But the MSFA also lives inside of MDCAPS. But for clarity, if you do the FAFSA, you do not do the MSFA application. You still need to create an MDCAPS account.
Thank you. That's where I got confused. Thank you for that. So if you apply to, so just revising the statement, as you said, if you apply to FAFSA, you don't need to also do the MSFA, but you do need an MDCAPS account.
Perfect. That's
But
exactly.
Kendall, can you clarify why they would do the differences in terms of, it's because of citizenship status? Can you clarify that for people?
Yes, so if you typically are an undocumented student or you not have a visa or green card, you're gonna do the MSFA. So if you're not eligible for federal aid, you still want to be considered for state aid. You know, that's still money that you can get based off like need-based scholarships, top grant scholarships, guaranteed access up to $20,000. That is just another ticket in the door by completing the Maryland State Financial Aid application. But it's based off, you know, citizenship and eligibility. So if you have citizenship here, you will be considered for federal and student aid, federal and state aid by way of just submitting the FAFSA. But if you do not have that citizenship, you're just going to be considered for that state aid. And that's by way of the MSFA.
Got it. Thank you. That was very helpful. Question 2, Kendall, you had mentioned, and I think one of the other speakers had mentioned about the FAFSA deadline. Typically it's October 1. Someone put in the chat, it is December this year. Based on what I see from Department of Education, I still see it pegged at October 1. Just, is there any clarity on this?
I have no.
It is still going back and forth. It is still going back and forth. We have not been given a definitive answer. We're telling people October 1st that they should be prepared to
For
apply.
the FAFSA, Kate?
Yes.
The FAFSA it's openly said it is in December. In fact, they have not set a date in December. So I was in a FAFSA webinar the other day. They said, assume it's December 31st. They're not even guaranteed it's early, but it is 100% in December. That's on the FAFSA website right now.
Okay.
Okay.
I apologize if we seem a little wishy-washy, but it's because this is evolving and this is, we're waiting just like you are. So we're trying to get that information to you as quickly as we can. But until we know exactly what's happening, you just have to be patient with us a little bit. But yes, you can check the FAFSA website and hopefully they'll be keeping it updated. Yes, if you're a green card holder, you do, as long as you pay taxes, you do qualify for federal aid. And MSFA also opens October 1st, I believe, or again, I don't know, maybe that's going to change as well. I have a question in here. Connect me with the communication person who is providing the communications expectation regarding affirmative action. Ms. Davis, can you please put your email in the chat, either to me or to everyone, so that I can follow up with you on this? Oh, it's in there. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna have to follow up with you on this. Are there any other questions?
I see a couple here in the chat that I can address really quick. Yes. Oh, I think someone may have addressed it here. But if starting college in fall 2024, do we fill out MDCAPS now? MDCAPS is actually always open, but no, you want to do it. You want it to correspond with when you're submitting the FAFSA or MSFA. So if you're looking at next fall, just submit it next fall, whatever that date may be. Is it October 1st? Right now, we're just, Just get it in before March 1st. Let's say that. If you are applying to schools in Maryland, do you do both the FAFSA and MDCAPS account? Yes. So you do the FAFSA and then you do the MDCAPS account, because the MDCAPS account is the portal to where all state grants and scholarships live in. When can we start MDCAPS? MDCAPS is always open. So if you are a rising senior and you are as early as this fall is when you want to get that MDCAPS account created in submission with your FAFSA or MISFA. If eligible for federal aid, so filling out the FAFSA, then do we still need to create an MDCAPS account if not filling out the MISFA? Yes, you do. The MDCAPS account has the grants and scholarships in there. So like the Maryland Community College Promise Scholarship, the Guaranteed Access, Educational Assistance, all of those live in the MDCAPS account. And this is where you get notifications on updates about the awarding deadlines and grants and scholarships. Is there a way to estimate the EFC? Technically there is, because it's a long formula, but that's technically determined by the FAFSA form. So the financial aid advisors on the federal side are going to determine your EFC. Or if you're doing the MISFA application, our state financial advisors are going to determine your EFC. Once again, when can we start MDCAPS account? That's as early as when you submit the FAFSA or MISFA. The account is always open. You just want to submit that in conjunction together. Can we get a link for the scholarships? I think that is a link to the website, and I am putting it in the chat now. Okay. Yes, and I'm going to send a slideshow out now. So were there any other questions? I do apologize for the updates. I mean, I'm hearing new stuff today too regarding the federal's application, and that's because we're not on the federal side, we're the state side, so we kind of have to follow their lead in that way. But if we get any communication and updates on that, I'll be sure to send it out and get the correct information to you. Will FAFSA only work for 2024-2025 year, or can it be used for spring 2023 semester? If you are looking for funds for spring 2023, you're going to submit the 2023-2024 spring 2024. So then that would be next year's FAFSA application. That would be the 2024. So that means fall 2024, spring, summer 2025. One second, let me make sure I'm understanding. Will FAFSA work only for 2024-2025 year, or can it be used for spring 2024? Soy, can you clarify that question a bit? I want to make sure I understand.
Yes, I can. So I'm eligible to graduate school early and I want to do that. So I can finish school in the first semester of school. I can be done with it. And then I can go to college in spring 2024.
Okay. So you'll be graduating, you're a senior now, but you'll be graduating early?
I'm a rising senior and I'm eligible to graduate early.
Perfect. Okay. So then you would do the 2023-2024 FAFSA.
And it will work for spring, right?
Yep, because it'll be spring 2024.
Okay. That's good. Thank you.
Welcome. Any last questions? These are great questions. Thank you all.
I was just gonna say one more thing about the FAFSA. I know you're the MDCAPS side of it, just because I was at a webinar for this last year. Someone asked the exact same question I asked. Early decision deadlines and decisions come out in December. This year, we won't even be doing the FAFSA yet then, so how will people know about awards? I asked that. They said even in the past that financial aid packages were not ready to go that early. But I just want to emphasize what Ms. Heald said, and that the experts don't know how this year is going to pan out. It is going to be different than any other year, because we do know 100% FAFSA is not coming out until December. So it will be a delay, but you know, to just go ahead and do the Maryland side of it when they can. And as soon as we get the information out, that the schools will be getting it out to students. So just make sure they're really paying attention to that.
Yeah, great point. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, thank you so much for being here. As I said, this has been recorded. This will be added to the summer workshop schedule in place of the link. It will be the recording probably in a couple hours. And every one of you has a college advisor in your school. If you don't know who that is, please check with your counselor and they can direct you. Thank you so much for being here, Kendall. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.